Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Improv Gaming.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Mario Odyssey, get on that shit. It's so good. Sorry, I had to say it one more
That's
time.
why I paused. I wanted you to get the rest of it out of your system
And
before
Life
I
is
go into
Strange
my
episode
topic.
2. Okay, I'm done. Let's not talk about Nintendo anymore. Nick, what's the topic today?
I'm talking about Nintendo.
Mario Odyssey is a must-play game. I knew I would get Nick on the bandwagon. Now, what is the topic?
So, issue that we have here, right? Nintendo has been saying that they're going to still support the Nintendo DS. And it's the 3DS. And
2DS
it's still,
and all that shit.
the DS line,
Okay.
right? They're going to support the DS line, even though the Switch came out. We're going to still see a lot of support for the DS line. Now, as you may recall, Pete, I called bullshit on that. Back in March. And now we're seeing that Pokemon is going to be dropped from the DS. Now, that's a big play because, as we all know, between the top contenders for DS playability is Pokemon and Animal Crossing. Mm-hmm. Those are the two top names. Animal Crossing, clearly a Nintendo brand, but Pokemon not entirely in Nintendo's hands. They just have a strong partnership with them. Mm-hmm. And we see that Pokemon is still partnering with Nintendo, but they're partnering with Nintendo on the Switch a lot, right? We got that hint that there's going to be a full-fledged RPG Pokemon-esque
type thing.
that's going to be that's going to drop for the Switch. There was a new thing that was put out there. It's a 3D recreation of Pokemon.
A Pokken tournament.
No, not Pokken tournament. No, it's a 3D recreation of Pokemon Red.
Okay.
Or the first, what was the first set?
Red, blue,
and gold, right? Red, blue, and yellow?
No, red, blue, and technically green was in Japan, but red and blue was the first.
Red and blue were the first Pokemon
and then
games.
Later on was yellow. And
but that was essentially the same game. Like yellow was essentially the same game as red and blue.
Had Pikachu.
Yeah, you just had Pikachu. So they did a full 3D recreation of that, which got taken down quickly. It was a indie project. Mm-hmm. So I'm seeing a lot more love that's probably going to go into the Switch. Full 3D environment where you actually battle with your Pokemon a lot like Pokken Tournament. Mm-hmm. That's the idea behind that game. And then we have the news that Pokemon was dropped from the DS. Mm-hmm. So I'm seeing a lot of decline in the DS industry, and I think that Nintendo support once that's gone, you're gonna see Animal Crossing start to go to the Switch, and then you'll see we're not doing another Animal Crossing for the DS.
Yeah.
We're going to focus on the Switch. Funny enough, right, there was a new game that came out for the DS. Pearl? Was it Pearl? What was the newest Pokemon?
I think it was Omega, like
some weird
Ruby and Pearl, maybe.
Yeah,
Ruby and
something like that. And that was very recent. That was 2 months ago, maybe. Something like that, right? A few months ago. And then that was it. So I think we're going to get the same thing when it comes to Animal Crossing. I think there's already Animal Crossing prepared for the Switch. And you're going to get a game that's going to be prepared in unison or in at the same time frame as whatever Switch title is going to be coming out, and then they're going to drop the DS entirely. Once you get rid of all that support, once you get rid of Animal Crossing, once you get rid of the Pokemon, you're going to see DS take a backseat, and the Switch will be the new handheld system that Nintendo will support. So,
may I read this?
Yes.
This is from October 19th. Okay. Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon will be the last Pokemon RPGs for the 3DS. Game Freak director explained that the company has seen each of its 3DS games at its full extent of what it could achieve on the handheld console. We were making Pokemon X and Y, and we were really trying to push the 3DS system to its absolute limits, which is what we have done. When Sun and Moon comes around, we completely redesigned the system and actually ended up pushing the 3DS even further than what we thought it could do and what we can draw out of it. However, the process of improvement seems to have come to an end, with the upshot being Game Freak to move to a new game release after the game comes out on November 17th. So, the 3DS is old, Nick.
3DS is dying.
It's not as powerful as it once was.
It never was powerful.
Thank you, Nick. But The Switch is getting so much action, and I think the DS line, the 3DS and all that, will die when Animal Crossing comes to the Switch. 100%. When they announce we have an Animal Crossing game, a new one, and it's coming to Nintendo Switch,
That's it for the DS.
the DS is done.
I think it's already on its last legs. I don't think that we even have to wait for Animal Crossing to really come out for the Switch. I think Pokemon switching over and saying we're not doing any more Pokemon RPGs for the Switch is
For the 3DS.
or for the 3DS is the first nail in the coffin. And it's not the final nail, but Animal Crossing very well may be the final nail, but I feel like everything that comes out after this is going to be another nail in the coffin, regardless. Regardless if there's ever a mention of Animal Crossing is no longer going to be a title that we release for the DS, I don't think you need that. I think all you need is Pokemon saying, we're moving over.
I mean, the biggest game that came out this holiday season that I can recall, besides the Bowser Inside Story that's getting remade or whatever have you, is Fire Emblem Warriors. And that's coming out. That came out this past week, and
that went. Didn't that also get for the Switch also? So I mean,
so why wouldn't you play it on the Switch, which has a bigger screen, probably better frame rate, better graphics?
The only issue I can see, right, is the portability of the Switch. Right, it is not as portable as the 3DS. It's not. It's much bigger. I have to carry around a purse whenever I bring it anywhere. That's not my cup of tea, but that could be anyone else's cup of tea, and that's absolutely fine with them. But for me, the Nintendo Switch is less portable than the DS, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it is still portable, and I am still willing to bring it places alongside me. So that's the only hindrance to the Switch, which is a minor inconvenience compared to the power that you get out of it, the kind of portability, the kind of game sharing that you get out of it, where you can play with your friends and you can play with other people. You can share it with other people and enjoy that experience with anybody that's in the area that you go to with it. You can say, hey, look, I have 2 controllers already. So it's already going to knock the DS out of the park. But my biggest point of contention was they're not going to show love for the Switch. I called it. Yeah, it's not for the DS. The DS is going to be dead by 2018.
100%.
And we're already seeing that start to happen.
There, not to bring in the other party, but Sony, the Vita's done. The last big game is Danganronpa 3. And that's the last big Vita game because nothing else has really been announced. And it's also, Danganronpa 3 is also available for PS4 for the first time. The launch of the game, because you can play Reloaded, which has 1 and 2 on it. But, handheld is dead, being the Vita, which is a more powerful system.
I mean, so much so that the Switch had to be a home console and a handheld for Nintendo to make it work.
I think it's also because, and I think you'll agree,
mobile phones.
Mobile.
Yeah, but mobile
gaming.
I haven't experienced the mobile game that functions at the same kind of rate or the same kind of level as a console game. And I'm not talking about graphics, and I'm not talking about things going on and particle effects. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about in the capacity of a Nintendo Game Boy button and directional control movement. I haven't seen a game that effectively does that very well because, again, that screen is in your way. You don't have physical buttons on the actual game, and any game that's designed for the mobile takes into account that you don't have those physical buttons. So even if you get an add-on to play it like that, it just doesn't work because the game is designed around this touchscreen idea.
Even, I think there was a Sonic thing that I have, and the controls are on the screen, and it takes away from the vision.
Yeah.
I have a 6 Plus, so at least I'm able to have a bigger screen, but on the smaller screen,
you can't
see anything.
That's the biggest hurdle. So I don't think that that's taking away from our console experience, right? It's not taking away from any experience. All it did was add an entire market that wasn't there before, and that's mobile gaming. I don't think it took away from console gaming or handheld gaming. I think people have grown up, and they don't want just a handheld to take everywhere. I think people want at-home experience. They want to be able to relax and take their time with an experience instead of being on the road or being in travel or being in transit. The thing that made the Vita so powerful in Japan was that it was a mobile experience that was very powerful. And that's the thing that's going to make the Switch very strong in Japan once the DS dies off. It's a mobile system that's going to be very powerful. And it's, the idea of the 3-hour battery life is going to be disintegrated very shortly once you get those power packs that come out that attach, and all that stuff is gonna alleviate all of that, and it's gonna make it a system worth playing with.
I mean, if you look at it, recently they announced that 2 million have sold in the U.S. Just in the U.S. they've announced of Nintendo Switches. That's amazing because we're in October. That's about 6-7 months. And out of those 6-7 months, 5 of those months, Nintendo was the best-selling console.
Yeah.
Over PlayStation, Xbox. Granted, it should be because PlayStation and Xbox have been out for
I think it was
years.
actually. I think the actual number was like 2.6, and they were projected at 2 million. So they sold more than they were even anticipating of selling.
And that's just in the U.S. We don't even know about Japan. And it's like the Switch is on to something. And I think, and I could be wrong. Granted, I don't know everything. Some say I do, but
I don't know who some is.
I think that Nintendo was surprised of how crazy the Switch went off.
I don't think they were. I don't think they were. Here's the reason, right? If they sold 2.6 million, they were expecting 2 million, then they prepared for it.
Did they, Nick?
Yeah.
There were shortages of the console.
But everybody was anticipating 2 million. And they produced 0.6 million more in order to buffer that. So I don't think that they were short of the benchmark, right? Nobody projected them to reach a certain benchmark, and nobody projected them to cross that threshold. Like they were saying, high estimates are 2 million, and Nintendo still was able to outperform that while trying to keep a safe buffer zone without losing too much money, because Nintendo, as we know, does not sell a console at a loss. So if they produced 2.6 million in this time span, they were projected to hit 2 million, then Nintendo was prepared. They just weren't as prepared as the market was. And all indications said that the market was not prepared for it. So that's not necessarily Nintendo's fault, right? Their research, third-party research, everybody's research said, nah, this isn't the time for something like this. And it blew up, everybody started buying it, and Nintendo had to react to that.
Do you think it's because of Zelda?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think Zelda sold that console. I think Zelda absolutely sold that console. Not because its title was Zelda, but because the game was so good. The game was so well done.
It's all right. Horizon's better.
No, it's not.
Actually, you know what is going to be better is Mario Odyssey. I can't wait.
Might be. It's made by the same people. So it might be.
Are you getting Odyssey on a
No.
sidebar? No interest at all.
No, because I could play it through you. I'm not gonna get it because you're gonna get it and you're gonna be done with it in 3 hours, and then you'll be like, Nick, you can here play. You can play.
I'm with this.
No, but I mean, like, you're gonna be done with it, and then I can get my chance with it. So.
Oh, you think? He thinks. Will he?
You're not gonna fucking. That's not a Witcher experience. There's no way that Mario Odyssey is gonna be a Witcher experience.
You don't think it will be
the game is a collectathon. The history of the game is a collectathon platformer. You collect the coins.
Moons.
The history of the game is coins.
And stars.
Yeah. The history of the game is coins.
But now it's moons. I just do this to
it's a collectathon. It was always meant to be a platforming collectathon. So you're not going to spend a Witcher. It's not going to be a Witcher experience.
You don't think I'm going to be 80 hours into Mario Odyssey?
No, I think if you're 80 hours into the Mario Odyssey, you've left the console on while you were sleeping.
Well done, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you saw, hit that like button. If you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. As always, I'm joined by the host with the most, Mr. On Wondering himself, with the Kangol cap in tow, who thought I was going to forget to do this.
Never. I knew you were going to do it. I knew you were focused. I forgot to do it. You had to make up for my mistake.
You going to introduce me, or are we going to just stare at each other for...
You didn't introduce my name.
It's Mr. Peter Anderson, ladies and gentlemen.
There you go. As I live and breathe.
As you live and as you breathe.
And I'm always joined with the #1 Mario Odyssey hater in the world.
It's fabulous. As always, ladies and gentlemen.
It's Mr. Nicholas De Jesus.
Game on.